I obtained body camera footage in a records request that shows Lori Vallow brought a locked black box with her when she was extradited from Idaho to Arizona, and only she has the combination. And we did send this to the media department multiple times before reporting on it, but these are from Kingman, and I didn't know if this was ever brought to your attention or if this was ever investigated, that the same numbers were being recorded over and over again.
This is the first I'm seeing these documents.
Chief Sullivan came into the picture. He has past experience when he was in Baltimore dealing with the DOJ investigation, so I don't want to say this is his expertise, but he does have experience with this, and it seems like he's taken that experience and has really guided the city along here, both in trying to implement those changes, but also not accepting a consent decree right away. And there's good reason why people want to get inside, get that close-up look at Lori Vallow Daybell in the courtroom. We'll be able to see her demeanor. And of course, this is going to be a moment of truth for her when the judge hands out that sentence. Compared to last week, it still looks cleaner here than it was before that deep cleaning. You can even see some of the sidewalk and some of the plots where people were staying and went into shelter space. But out here today, people still need help. We did find this department order from 2019, listing a maximum indoor temperature at 80 degrees. That means if you look at those July 2023 temperature logs, every state prison that recorded indoor temperatures would have violated these standards last summer. What is the hottest you remember your cell ever getting?
104.
Can you describe to someone what that feels like?
Death.
They are trying to do everything they can when it comes to cleanup and approaching this with services in a way that is mindful of people's rights, but it's very challenging. And I want to point out too that there are some legal issues they have to consider, whether they can remove someone from camping. That's an issue being debated by the Supreme Court of the United States right now.
Are you saying that your client is innocent in this? You said it was a wide net.
I'm saying we're going to look at all the facts and we're going to get to the bottom of this.
Before this grants pass decision, before this went to the Supreme Court, there was a 2018 ruling called Martin v. Boise that basically said you can't arrest someone, you can't criminalize homelessness if someone is just sleeping on the streets when cities don't have adequate shelter space. The people there have said they feel like the city is failing when they see people camping out. How do you respond to that?
At the end of the day, we know we're failing people. If anybody's on that street, that's a failure.
When darkness falls on the canal,
Shelter! Come here, guys! Dinner!
people come out of the shadows.
Vamos para comer!
Eric Sanchez runs the Masa Project of Arizona,
Make sure you guys get some dog food as well.
a volunteer group that offers aid to those experiencing homelessness.
We hand out food, Narcan, water, and free hugs, not drugs.
On this night,
Hello, hello.
it's dinner.
Come and get some food, you guys! It's nice and hot!
You don't want to go to sleep hungry. It's terrible.
No. Have you had to go to sleep hungry a lot of nights?
Yeah.
Isaac says he's been homeless for the past 4 years, staying on the canal here near 23rd Ave and Indian School.
I keep leaving this place and I come back.
He says he's struggled with drugs and struggled with getting help.
It's just like a big waiting list. Fall through the cracks like me is real hard.
I don't think we're bad people. We just don't have a home to go to.
Lacey says she's been out here since December after losing housing and not having enough money to pay bills.
Not knowing where you're going to sleep at night makes it kind of hard to be planned and ready for what you're supposed to do the next day if you didn't get robbed that night. So it's a lot to watch for out here. But this guy right here is amazing. He does more than just feed us. He really does.
Eric has his own style, armed, open to everyone.
Hey, brother. We got chow on the canal down there on the left.
Always live streaming on social media.
Welcome in, everybody. Viewer discretion is advised anytime we're out here. It's reality.
But his grassroots efforts
How many people would you say come through the line every night?
Here, between 80 and 100.
have become essential.
And just looking at these people there, you know, they're living out of a shopping cart. They're obviously looking at their fentanyl, and it's a shock, you know, just experiencing this. It's a horrible reality, but something that we have to do and keep them alive. There needs to be more resources at night. 8 p.m. to 4 a.m., there's not really much.
Do you see people out here that came from the zone area?
A lot.
For years, the Zone was Phoenix's largest homeless encampment. More than 1,000 people on the streets at its peak. Then, neighbors sued the city for not doing enough to keep the area clean and safe. And a judge ordered the city to close the encampment down. That happened last November, but it didn't mean homelessness just went away in Phoenix. The I-Team analyzed 16 months of data from the city, and after sifting out duplicates, found that calls for encampments
or people needing help with homelessness went up in the months after the zone was cleared.
Some people have said that people just moved to a different location. The problem just shifted out of the neighborhood. What do you say to those claims?
Well, I definitely think that over the last decade, we have seen a huge increase in the number of people experiencing homelessness in our community. So what they're seeing and feeling is true. We are seeing more people experiencing homelessness.
Rachel Milne with Phoenix's Office of Homeless Solutions.
The city did successfully close all 15 blocks around the campus to camping. We made a commitment that we would offer every individual who was in that area an indoor place to go. Not everyone took us up on that offer. 82% did, but this was a nice alternative.
This being what the city calls its safe outdoor space, a structured campground that can serve as a step forward for someone not yet able or willing to take an indoor shelter bed. It's in downtown Phoenix, like a majority of homeless services, but Phoenix is working to bring on more shelter beds in other parts of the city, like a new 280 bed space planned for 71st Ave in Van Buren.
We could use more, I'll tell you that. Anytime we open up a new site, it gets filled up very quickly because there are just more people in need of shelter than we have space available.
Back out on the canal,
You're good. You got to.
efforts are making a dent.
I think it's getting better. I think more people are taking up to the treatment.
Eric's still streaming as they get ready to move to a second spot.
Living like this is addicting.
He thinks the more visible the problem, the less likely people will get lost in the shadows.
And so you have to kind of adapt and approach on a different level. And so that's what we do.
Meet people where they're at.
Yes, yes. Sometimes it's from the ground up.
I've been pushing for this interview with director Ryan Thornell for 9 months, and finally, we're getting some answers to our investigation.
Summer 2024 will be different.
Do you have a timeline on when the HVAC will be upgraded at Perryville?
It's in process right now. If you drive by, you can see ventilation going up on the external walls. You can see ventilation going into individual cells.
Arizona Prison Director Ryan Thornell saying the plan to swap out swamp coolers for air conditioners at Perryville Women's Prison in Goodyear is well underway.
Far ahead of the timeline that we had last year. I know we're going to have air conditioning in cells this summer that didn't have it last year.
The big change coming after the 12 News I-team exposed triple-digit temps in some of the cells last summer, the highest hitting 109 degrees. Records show cells at the Kingman and Lewis prisons also hit triple digits.
Were you surprised to see that some of the cell temperatures were in the triple digits?
I wasn't surprised in terms of that compared to the outdoor temperature. What I was more surprised by were the number of cells that were impacted as extremely as they were. It's unacceptable. I felt it myself.
After visiting Perryville, Director Thornell ordered changes like misters, free ice, and more access to air-conditioned spaces. Relief he wants to continue enhancing this summer. But the I-team found last summer's heat still took a toll. In July 2023, records show incarcerated women and at least one staff member at Perryville were hospitalized for heat-related symptoms. And sometimes staff were sent home.
Is mitigation really working if those are the outcomes?
Absolutely, it's working. We did have a few instances staff reported some heat-related symptoms and were absolutely sent off-site for evaluation, which is the protocol I want followed.
The I-team also uncovered inconsistencies in temperature records. No prison kept records the same way, some not at all.
So we've already addressed those issues as we come into this heat season to where we have standardized forms as well as standardized training that's being completed as we speak.
This stood out too, a repeating temperature pattern at the prison in Kingman, where the exact same temperatures were recorded 11 days in July.
And we did send this to the media department multiple times before reporting on it, but these are from Kingman, and I didn't know if this was ever brought to your attention or if this was ever investigated, that the same numbers were being recorded over and over again.
This is the first I'm seeing these documents specifically, so I can't comment on anything that's abnormal. But it is the same temperatures, it appears.
Were there ever any concerns that some of them could have been falsified?
I didn't have any concerns last summer about falsified logs based upon what I saw firsthand. I certainly know that there were inconsistencies in the forms used, as I mentioned, but our focus now is going forward.
Thornell's been on the job for a little more than a year, inheriting a system with problems from staffing to healthcare to heat.
Did our reporting shed light on anything you didn't know?
I think this is absolutely helpful to have you bring this forward. And I think your reporting exposed a voice for people that were, maybe still are, inside Perryville and some of their concerned family members. And so I always welcome that sort of communication.
When I was going 40, it was way faster than I was.
Because I remember thinking the guy was going way too fast to stop in time.
In your opinion, should he have been able to see the pedestrians?
If he was driving at a normal speed, yes.
Witnesses seeing what the driver said he didn't.
All I see is just a shopping cart go up.
Two people crossing 32nd Street on Yale, about a quarter mile south of Thomas Road.
But you didn't see them prior to the shopping cart, right?
No, I was just going with the, speed of traffic. I didn't even know where they came out of.
The police report shows the driver of the black truck struck and killed Dorothy Dale Chambers and her boyfriend Joseph Gutierrez after dark on April 26, 2022. The pair reportedly lived unsheltered at nearby Perry Park.
We did a welfare check every week, and my niece went to go check on her, and that's how we found out she had been killed, and she was laying in the morgue for 8 days.
Dorothy's sister, Beatrice X. Johnson, said Dorothy chose to stay at the park.
Well, my sister was not a throwaway, neither was Joseph, neither are those people who are in the park. They are human beings.
But her family never anticipated she'd be killed in the road next to it.
We know that my sister did not do nothing wrong. She was just crossing the street.
This intersection at Yale and 32nd Street technically is a crosswalk. There's paint on the road, but when we went by in early August, we saw one sign on the ground and another that appeared to be blocked by leaves. There weren't any lights, and when someone tried to cross during rush hour, cars didn't stop.
We're demanding that they fix that. We're demanding that they make that area better.
The I-Team examined ADOT data from 2018 to 2020, finding dozens of car crashes each year in the 5 blocks by Perry Park. That includes crashes with other vehicles or crashes with pedestrians. Data isn't available yet for wrecks from 2021 or 2022, when more people experiencing homelessness started staying by the park. The busy street, a problem people living in the neighborhood pointed out, and something Phoenix City Council member Carlos Garcia even acknowledged when we toured the park with him in June to talk about homelessness.
We had an unsheltered person unfortunately die last month who was hit by a car right here.
The city's known since at least May 2020, before Dorothy and Joseph died, that 32nd Street between McDowell and Thomas Roads is considered a high-density crash zone. In December 2020, Phoenix put out a call for bids to work on 4 different crosswalk projects across the city, including the intersection at Yale and 32nd Street. City Council approved a contractor to do the work in April 2021, and all 4 signal projects were supposed to be completed by the end of May 2022. But that didn't happen. At the end of July 2022, the contractor requested an extension into September, blaming supply chain issues. The city signed off on the extension, but it's not clear when the work will be done. As of the last day in August, 3 of the 4 projects don't appear to be operational.
I just talked to her and she said, "I love you, little sis."
Families like Beatrice's, mourning lives lost in an instant, while change is in slow motion.
We don't want this to happen to any other family.
What you did is unapologetic.
The struggle of survival.
I don't want nobody to see me. I don't want to be out in public.
Teenager Destiny Hernandez pierced in her leg by a bullet after a gunman opened fire at Westgate Entertainment District last May.
You're okay, man.
Her then boyfriend Alfredo shot through the chest.
Roll back over, brother.
They didn't know the shooter, and the shooter didn't know them, but they weren't hit by accident.
You wanted couples? You wanted couples? Because your issues with being able to get a girlfriend?
Yes.
Suspect Armando Jr. Hernandez telling a detective he targeted young couples on purpose. And there's a reason why.
The term incel, do you consider yourself an incel?
Incel is short for involuntary celibate, a group of typically young men who feel they can't attract a romantic partner because of their looks.
It's very clear all these people are suffering from a real lack of relationship.
Dr. Stefan Bela researches incel culture, largely hidden online.
Calls for raping women, throwing acid, killing them, revenge.
Chat rooms and forums mostly filled with men, sharing and encouraging sinister thoughts about hating and harming women and couples.
When you have a community that keeps talking about how they feel and why women are bad, and it attracts more and more people, and they only discuss within their own bubble. The views get more and more radical.
He estimates there are thousands of people part of this growing online world, many remaining anonymous. And for the most part, it's just talk.
What really drives people to actually perpetuate the violence?
That's $1 million question, right? Because for the vast majority, this never happens.
But it's happened enough for the Department of Homeland Security to start funding research into the risks incel culture can bring. In Armando's case, he tells the detective he spent a lot of time watching videos about guns, conspiracies, mass shootings, even other incel attacks.
So you think what they did is wrong?
I think what they did is pretty wrong.
Okay. But what you did tonight...
What I did tonight is basically what was a mass, right? You would say basically what it is a mass, yes. Absolutely wrong with me.
Yeah.
It's a dark side.
It was months before Alfredo could try and get back to work. And Destiny is still struggling to walk. It hasn't been easy.
It hurts still. It takes a lot of energy.
Yet the struggle of survival also comes with strength.
It just means a lot that I'm still here.